Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and today we're touching back upon Bill Deblasio's New York City vaccine mandate for all private employers. Now, one of the responses we kind of received in talking about this with people over the original day that it came out, which is still today. I'm just making this video in advance, but a lot of people wanted to know. Is this vaccine mandate in New York City, is it constitutional? Can it fly? And the answer to that is we're all not really sure, right? Listen, I've been very adamant. Private employers can absolutely require vaccination. That is very clear to me under the law. It is also equally clear to me that the Biden mandate was never going to happen. They just skipped all of the required steps to make something a law. They tried to do something through executive action, through an agency that really didn't have that power. And they tried to do it in a very irrational way. Like, why do employers of 100 or more only? Do we not care about vaccinating the other people? Like, what if you have to vaccinate everyone who works at a company of 100 or more? What about the company with 99 employees? What are we doing? Like, this doesn't really make sense. And also, I mean, listen, the vaccines don't stop transmission. They do help with symptoms. They help with hospitalization rates. They don't stop transmission. So the original theory for forcing vaccination on people in order to, like, oh, we're gonna protect the immune compromised people of the country. No, you're not. That's not a thing. These vaccines don't do that much to stop transmission. So, like, the Biden mandate never really made sense, never really was effective. Now, there is a difference in the New York City mandate. Maybe. So, local governments have a lot more leeway to do things because the theory goes people can just vote with their feet. Right? You don't like what New York City is doing? Great. Leave. Realistically, it's harder to leave the country. Our country makes it really hard to leave the country. They make it really hard to get wealth out of the country. So you don't really even necessarily have that option. So that they don't have that same vote with your feet argument. But in New York City, generally speaking, like, the answer to the law is, oh, you don't like it? Leave. And people are in droves. New York City is very quickly losing many of its businesses and many of its citizens who are between the ages of like 30 and 50. It seems to be a sweet spot of people just mass exodus from the city, right? Now, that's all fine, well, and good, and it does give them a lot of extra leeway. A lot. I cannot stress how much extra leeway. But many of the things the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals brought up when striking down the Biden mandate for the first time and putting it on hiatus still apply here. So, one, this mandate has been stated by Billy Deblasio, to be a response to Omicron. Here's the problem with that. Omicron has a special spike protein alteration, and they think makes it much, much more resistant to the current crop of vaccines. Meaning, Omicron doesn't care if you're vaccinated. Potentially. Which brings us to the next thing. We don't have that much data on Omicron. We don't know if Omicron is serious. We don't know if Omicron kills people at a high rate or if it's actually pretty chill. We don't know. We also only believe it's going to be vaccine resistant. We don't know that either. What we do know is that on a plane that was tested of people coming out of South Africa, everyone who carried the Omicron variant was in fact vaccinated. There were also people who had Delta and Alpha and Beta versions of COVID, and some of them, I think they might have been vaccinated, they might not. But everyone across the board who had Omicron, the Omicron variant, all of them are vaccinated. So then, might I ask you, how can you say you're doing a vaccine mandate in response to Omicron when you don't know if that's a good response to Omicron. You don't know if it helps. More importantly, you don't know anything yet. So what are you doing, right? And that's part of the problem. The irrationality of these laws can lead judges to say, are you sure you read the science? Like, what? And listen, is it a judge's role to be an activist judge and second guess lawmakers? Generally, I would say no. That's not really how our legal system works. But lately, I'm starting to get kind of happy that some of these judges are saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What's the logic? Give me the logic. Tell me why. So listen, I don't know. This whole discussion comes down to the concept of like, I don't know. I don't know if this is enforceable. I don't know what judges and courts are going to do on this mandate. I don't like not knowing. It's scary not knowing. I think that we're going to have to bring cases to fight this. Like, I think it is an overstep of power. I think we are going to have to fight this. We're going to have to bring these cases. It's just so irrational at this point to take this course of action. We're going to need to see more about what enforcement looks like, right? Very famously, New York City touts its vaccine mandate for restaurants. But that's really only, in my experience, enforced against black people. I've never been asked for my vaccine passport. No, I mean, I've only seen it happen to people of color, ever. So that's iffy. I mean, I assume they're not just going to go. I assume at least this one would be different, and they wouldn't only going to be going to businesses that employ people of color and saying, oh, you've got people of color in your business, we're going to have to check you out, right? Like, I would hope there'd be some equality to enforcement this time, for once in New York City's history. This is a really long-winded way of saying we don't know. I think we have to fight it to find out. And I think it's just Bill Deblasio trying to make a name for himself so he can have a political career past this, because I think he's spent all the goodwill he might have ever accumulated, and not a well-liked individual. Like and subscribe, comment down below, give me your thoughts, give me your concerns, give me your fears, tell me I'm an idiot and I'm trying to kill everyone. It's a perspective. It is. It's a perspective. Listen, is it possible that we find out that the vaccine saves 100% of the lives of people infected with Omicron? Yeah, I think that's possible. My point is we don't know. And if you don't know, it's kind of hard to make these big sweeping plans. These big decisions are things that should be informed by data. Anyways, stay safe out there, everybody. The world keeps getting weirder, and it's not really the virus anymore. It's people at this point.